Hey, welcome back to the Mark Brown Project. So, this is episode 2, and I'm going to be talking about mental health and psychology and just a high level overview. Again, this is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, I talked this last thing about spirituality. The next one I'm going to be talking about is psychology. And these are going to just float in and out from different places from time to time, just setting this up for you. So, your psychology, your sense of being, your attachment style, your shadow self, all of these different types of things that make us who we are actually have a huge effect on us in terms of how we interact with God. In fact, there are strong correlations in the way that people interact with their Father than as they do operating with the same type of relationship that you have with your Father can sometimes be the same type of relationship that you have with God. So all of the psychology stuff really matters. Now, I took some counseling courses a long time ago, marriage and family stuff. It was required for youth ministry at the time. I did a little bit of counseling here and there over the years, mostly unofficial. I realized one day that something's wrong. I'm in a bad relationship. I'm getting ready to go through a divorce. And so I had a friend that spent a lot of time with me. I said, Scott, just tell me what you see. Just tell me everything. Because he'd spent a lot of time with me and at my house with my then wife. And so he starts telling me what he sees. I see this, I see this, I see this. And at one point, I start getting pissed at him. I'm like, why in the world is he putting up with this? But then I realized it was me. And I was like, holy shit. Oh, by the way, related to the religious things, occasionally I'm going to drop F-bombs from time to time. If in certain things I have different understandings of what appropriate language is than most of the people that are hardcore religious. And I'm happy to have discussions with them offline about that. So anyway, I know something's wrong, so I do my own research because that's what I do. Try to diagnose myself because I think I'm smarter than I actually am. And I realized that I've got what are called co-occurring disorders. And before I went through a divorce, I wanted to make sure that I was thinking straight. And in order to do that, and because things were so bad, I looked for what I thought was a stress center, stress clinic. I'm expecting a stress center to be kind of like a church camp thing, but you do mental health stuff. So I didn't want to be in Indiana. It was November. It was cold. I figured that the worst psychologist in California will probably be better than the best one in Indiana just because of the type of people that they see all day long on a regular basis. They'll have seen it all. And I'm not the average Hoosier. So I contacted, and it had the most on its website about treating co-occurring disorders. So I reached out to them and flew out to California. I got there late. I had to organize all my own transportation. The Uber driver that picked me up was upset that he had to drive so far to drop me off from LAX to Hollywood Hills. So he wouldn't even stop at a restaurant. He threw an apple back at me and said, just eat when you get there. I got to get there. Like, man. So as we're pulling into the place, I see that there's a McDonald's right down the street. So I just said, hey, here's my stuff. I'm going to run down to McDonald's and grab something real quick, and I'll be right back. And they said, no, you're not. And they brought me in. I thought, okay, well, just part of the process. I'll go along with it, They start tearing all my luggage apart. And then I have these questionnaires I have to fill out. Then they found my computer cables in my stuff. And all my computer cables were packed in Crown Royal bags. And so they took the my cologne, everything that had alcohol. I realized at that point that I accidentally checked myself into drug rehab, and I didn't have a problem. This is the kind of person that is talking to you, okay? I accidentally checked myself into drug rehab, but the decisions I had been making up to that point weren't working. And I know just from pop culture and, random things that, you're supposed to surrender to the process. So I decided to try to do that because I'm very resistant to authority. I'm very resistant to things that people tell me to do that have no value, purpose, or logic behind them. But I surrendered to the process, and it actually was life-changing in a lot of great ways. There were some great important lessons that I learned. One being, don't pack your computer cables in Crown Royal bags. Two, just because weed pens are legal in California doesn't mean that you can take them into a drug rehab place. There'll be so many stories about that because it was just a huge adventure. But it set me down a path. What it did is it gave me the vocabulary. And so what I want to encourage you with is, as you are going through whatever you're going through, if this psychology thing, meaning of life and purpose and all of it, if any of this is driving you right now, the most important thing I can tell you is start developing your vocabulary. Because a feeling without a description is just stressful. You can't talk to anybody about it. You have to be able to understand what your feelings are. You have to be able to understand where those feelings come from. I am struggling with this. I don't know all of this. I am learning this on the fly. But I'm learning this on the fly at age 51, and I should have learned it a long time ago. And so if I can help somebody understand what I'm learning, and they are younger than me, or if they are older than me, I don't care. It can be anybody. But that's the type of person you're talking to. Is I have taken risks, and I do know how to follow the process if necessary. But most importantly, I know how to learn. I'm curious naturally. And I've realized going through these really horrible few years that I've gone through and pursuing mental health the way that I have, that it does affect your relationship with the Creator. It does affect your relationship with others in huge, profound ways. It affects the way that you act at your job, with your family, at church, all of the different people that you become going from place to place. It all matters. And so I found out there, and I'm going to try to normalize stuff. I'm just going to be transparent. So I found out there that I'm bipolar type 1. It's something that is slightly different than just saying bipolar. If I understood what they said correctly, like there's one side that's usually dominant, and mine are both there, which supposedly is why I was gifted as a kid. I'm creative yet analytical. I'm a complicated mess sometimes, but it's who I am, and I can talk to people that others can't because I've seen things, I know things, I've experienced things that a lot of other people haven't. Good and bad. This country and others. Black, white, doesn't matter. They're all experiences. They're all things you can learn from. And I just want people to learn from my experiences. And so if it does help in some way, then great. So last was spirituality. Last video was spirituality. This one is just about kind of psychology and where I'm going to head from this and where all of this comes from. And the reason I'm going to share all this with you is because I care about you. Whether I like you or not, whether I know you or not, I care about you. And I want you to be healthy, because healthy people make better societies make peaceful societies make better us. There's a purpose for everything that I say. There is a logic behind it, a logic chain behind it. I don't know always how to communicate it with others. So I'm putting this out there, the straw man, until somebody else comes up with something better. Here's this, and engage with me. Because that's how we learn together. That's how together we can create a better solution than we had before. That'll be the end of this. My name is Mark Brown. Thanks for watching. This is the Mark Brown Project. Be a better human.